You know that moment when life is sucking you in? When each step forward is like trudging behind the weight of the world? When there's so much noise in your head, you can hardly hear yourself breathe? That's the time you need to recall there is a shepherd leading you. You are not lost. You are not forsaken. You are guided, even when you can't see where the way leads. Psalm 23 is not a verse. It's a lifeline. It's evidence that in the midst of turmoil, you possess a guide. In the valley, you possess a shield. And when you feel weakest, there is a strength outside of yourself moving you forward. You have a shepherd who guides each step, which is to say you are not making your way through this life through dumb chance or blind fate. There is a presence, a wisdom, a divine hand that is aware where you are and where you must go, even when you're not. Sometimes you feel like you're calling the shots, and yeah, your decisions count. But with each twist, each stall, each no you didn't want to hear, there is a plan being spun that's so much grander than what you can understand. A shepherd doesn't simply let the sheep graze without concern. He guides them to safety, to sustenance, to areas where they can heal and grow, even when you think you're at a dead end. Your shepherd is already plotting the next route. That inner voice whispering, "Don't give up yet," is more than willpower. It's direction. It's the leading whisper reminding you that there's purpose in your pace. You might think the path you're on is too slow, that it's not panning out. But the shepherd's timing is never impatient. He sees the dangers you don't yet see, the pitfalls that you could fall into if you went off in a rush. So rather than fixating on how quickly you arrive at your destination, put your trust in the one who sees the big picture. The steps you're taking today, even the ones that seem like detours, are part of a journey that is meant for your good. And the greatest reality is you're never walking through life alone. Loneliness is oftentimes one of the most burdensome weights to bear, particularly when you're in a season where nobody gets it. But because you can't see him doesn't mean that he's not there. Consider the times that you felt utterly lost, but managed to find your way back. The times that you felt you couldn't go another step further, but somehow you did. That's not you muddling through life by yourself. That's somebody walking with you, ensuring you continue moving forward. When you feel as if the world doesn't see you, you're still visible to the one who knows your name. When you think nobody listens to your prayers, every last word has already touched his heart. You might be alone physically, but spiritually you're never alone. The shepherd doesn't walk ahead of you so far that you can't catch up. And he doesn't walk behind you to just nudge you along. He walks alongside you, step by step, side by side. And when there are times that you can't walk, he carries you. When you go through the valleys, the dark times, the times when fear is breathing down your neck, you are not left behind. The valley doesn't indicate that you turned the wrong way. It's more likely that you're at the middle of the right path. Valleys are a part of the process because growth is not on mountaintops. You can feel like everything is closing in on you, like the walls are shrinking. But that's when you have to remember this is not where you pitch your tent. This is where you keep walking. The shepherd takes you through the valley, not into the valley to strand you there. The shadows you see aren't evidence of harm. They're evidence that there's still light somewhere close by. Without light, you can't have shadow. And that means no matter how dark it may seem, there is hope, there is direction, there is a way out. Fear will try to make you stop, to remain frozen, to think this is your forever state. But the shepherd has knowledge of the way out. He knows just when to lead you through, and the safest path to take you there. The valley may seem infinite now, but with each step you are moving toward more elevated ground. And in those moments you are not given just a road. You are given peace, not the superficial comfort of distractions or band-aids, but profound, abiding comfort that holds you even when the tempest is raging. The shepherd's rod and staff aren't symbols. They are actual, tangible reminders that you are safe. The rod shields you from what you can't see it coming, repelling the attacks you didn't even realize were leveled against you. The workers stay close to you, drawing you in when you begin to drift off into harm's way, leading you when you begin to lose your bearings. Which is to say that even in the valley, you never lack protection. You are not merely existing. Your shepherd is actively attempting to protect you, to guard you from harm, and to remind you that you are his own. It's easy to look at the darkness and think that it's proof you've been forgotten. But the truth is, the shepherd is closest in the valley. That's when his presence is most felt. Not because the danger is bigger, but because his care is even greater. The peace you enjoy in those times isn't founded on the lack of adversity. It's founded on the presence of the one alongside you. There's a change that occurs when you understand that even in the midst of all that's arrayed against you, all your critics, all your enemies, all the people or power that have wished you ill, God not only shields you, he blesses you in that moment. The table he sets isn't in some remote secret location where nobody will ever find it. It's right in the middle of the same environment that was designed to destroy you. That isn't by chance. That's on purpose, because the blessing isn't merely about you. It's a declaration, a statement, a living witness that no weapon that is formed against you will prosper. Consider what that implies. He doesn't simply get you out of the situation. He lifts you up and he makes those who counted you out stand and watch while he promotes you, provides for you and covers you with favor. That table is a table of provision, but it's also a table of peace. As others scramble and battle for crumbs, you are dining in the presence of the King, partaking in a banquet he cooked with his own hands. The den around you might not cease, the enemy might not disappear, but they can't touch what God set before you. This table is a snapshot of his ability to keep you going in the midst of chaos, to nourish your soul when everything else is working against, draining you. It's a reminder that your blessings don't need to wait for ideal circumstances. They flourish in the most unideal because they are based in him, not in conditions. And when he anoints your head with oil, it's not just a symbolic act. It's an act of divine commission and empowerment. In the ancient days, oil was employed to seal somebody as chosen, ordained to a purpose. It was also employed to heal wounds and refresh the weary. That is to say that this moment is healing as well as commissioning. God isn't just providing you with something to get you through the trip. He's giving you the strength and the power to walk in the purpose that he's established for you. Anointing oil flows down and covers entirely. It penetrates every aspect of you. It's a demonstration of how his presence touches your life, not in one place, but covers it all. And what happens? Your cup runs over. That's not barely enough to get by. That's not scraping together blessings. That's abundance. Blessings pressed down, shaken together and running over. Your life becomes so full of his goodness that it spills into the lives of others. This overflow is not because of what you've done, but because of who he is. It's the evidence that when God blesses you, he does it beyond your capacity to contain it. The oil and the overflowing cup signify that you are not merely surviving but thriving in his presence, walking in his calling and having more than enough for yourself and others around you. It's the image of a life filled with favor, with strength, and with divine purpose, regardless of what the world hurls your way. Surely goodness and mercy will follow you all the days of your life. That's not poetry. It's a statement of an abiding. It's the guarantee that wherever you go, whatever season you enter into, you're not alone, and you're not alone with divine support. Consider it. Goodness and mercy aren't attributes, they are forces that actively follow you. You don't need to pursue them, you don't need to win them, you don't need to manipulate situations to receive them. They are yours. It's as if you've got God's own personal representatives following you every step of the way and ensuring that you're covered. Goodness, his blessing, his provision, his open doors guarantees you feel the tangible proof of his love. Mercy, his forgiveness, his compassion, his patience, guarantees that though you make mistakes, though you fall, you are picked up rather than left behind. It's not about some good days and some bad. It's about an unbroken string of his involvement, guiding your way, restoring your errors, and intertwining everything, yes, everything into a fabric of his faithfulness. There are days, of course, when goodness appears in big, bold letters, the prayer answered sooner than you dared to dream, the breakthrough that happens when you've about given up hope. There are days when mercy is the highlight, the soft kindness that keeps you from shattering, the forgiveness that heals what you believed you lost for good. But both goodness and mercy are always present, even in the valley, even in the storm, Even in those times when it seems that God is quiet, and pay attention, it says all the days of your life, not some days, not just the holy days, not just the days when you're strong in faith. All means every single one, your highs and your lows, you're stepping out boldly and you're stumbling along, your mountaintop experiences and your times in the valley. There's no gap in that vow, no use by date, no lapse in coverage. This is a lifetime guarantee, and it's not tied to how flawlessly you get it done. It's rooted in who He is. Goodness and mercy will trail behind you, even when you don't know it, even when you don't feel it, even when you've managed to persuade yourself you don't deserve it. They're there, steady, firm, devoted to your path from beginning to end. And then the promise gets deeper. You will live in the house of the Lord forever. Not just a physical location, it's a reality, a way of life, a state of being anchored in His presence. The house of the Lord isn't the buildings of the church, it's the uninterrupted connection with Him. It's waking up each morning knowing you are home, even when the world appears to be a wilderness. It's having that inner sanctuary where the chaos can't reach you, where the fear can't claim you, where the loneliness can't define you. This is about more than mere survival of this life. It's about living with an eternal mind. Lying in His house eternally means you are never spiritually homeless. It means you are never without covering, never without shelter, never without a table to sit at, and a shepherd to lead you. And this forever isn't after this life is over. It begins now. Eternity is not a someday promise. It's a current reality for those who walk with Him. You are already sitting in His presence, already tasting the edges of what forever is going to be like. And once you get it, things shift. You no longer live in terror of what's next, because you know who's arriving with you. You no longer hang on to something temporary, because you're rooted in the permanent. You no longer allow the enemy to write the narrative of your life, because you know the ending's already been written. Living in His house is having your identity in Him, not in your failures, not in your successes, not in what others say. It is having anywhere you go in life, through the green pastures, through the dark valleys, through the areas where enemies are against you, you still reside under the roof of His covering and affection. It means you have access, unhindered, direct, constant access to the King. You don't require an appointment. You don't need to present yourself neatly before you go in. You don't need to demonstrate that you are worthy. The shepherd who guided you beside still waters is the same Lord who says, "Come on home," without restriction, without qualification, without fear of being refused. And this abiding presence of God becomes the anchor that keeps you anchored in every shift and storm. Because when you understand you have a home forever with Him, you quit worrying about the temporary. You can confront the unknown because you know the one who knows everything. You can let go of control because your shepherd never loses his sheep. You can live to the full, for you are already living in safety in His household. And when you finally breathe your last here on earth, it will not be the end. It will merely be the instant you enter completely into the forever you have been journeying toward your whole life. When God speaks of goodness and mercy following you all the days of your life, it's not a suggestion, it's not a maybe, it's a promise that does not end. We tend to think of God's blessings as something we must pursue, something we must earn. But Psalm 23 turns this on its head. It says those things, goodness, mercy, are pursuing you. You don't have to beg for them. You don't have to manipulate situations to receive them. They are already part of your life. And they don't punch a time clock when you screw up. They don't flee from you when life is messy. They accompany you into the bad days, into the broken heart, into the hospital room, into the times when nothing makes sense. Consider that for a second. God's goodness and mercy are your shadow. Even when you can't see them because the valley is so dark, they're still present. There will be times when all you know they were there for is when you look back and say, "I don't even know how I survived that." That's not luck, that's God's goodness keeping you together while everything else around you was breaking apart. Mercy is when you don't receive the punishment that you should, and goodness is when you receive blessings that you didn't deserve. Put those two together and it means that your life is bathed in grace from beginning to. The thing that happens is that we get so caught up in the mess that's going on around us that we forget to look for the evidence of God's presence in our lives. We forget that the only reason we're still breathing, still standing, still alive, is because His goodness wouldn't allow us to give up. His mercy wouldn't allow our biggest failures to be the end of us. You may feel like you've wasted too much time or made too many bad decisions, but this verse reminds you, you can't outrun His love. Even when you turn away, even when you push Him away, His goodness and mercy are right behind, not leaving. And then there's this truth. Psalm 23 isn't a funeral reading, although it's used that way all the time. It's a living promise. It's a daily reminder that your shepherd is guiding you, supplying you, guarding you, and pursuing you. Goodness and mercy aren't something you'll receive one day if you accumulate enough spiritual points. They are with you now, today, as you hear these words. That's why your vision is so important. If you begin to perceive your life through the filter of this promise, you'll no longer allow fear to drive your decisions. You'll begin waking up every morning anticipating God's goodness to arrive, because it's literally accompanying you wherever you go. And here's something tremendous. When you're living in light of this promise, you begin walking differently. You cease holding your head down in shame, because mercy has taken care of your past. You cease living in fear of the future, because goodness is already in. You walk with the assurance of one who recognizes they are loved, directed, and guarded. You walk with the inner knowing that despite the toughest season, God is working something good behind the scenes, and you will begin to notice it. Little things reminding you, He is here. Little things that appear when you don't expect them. Psalm 23 doesn't simply desire that you know of God's goodness. It desires you to experience it. And when you do, even your enemies will notice. That's where the next section comes in. When God tells us that He'll set the table before us in the presence of our enemies, it's not about revenge. It's about public redemption. It's about God fixing what was broken in a manner that can't be ignored. Your enemies, be they people, circumstances, or even the things you've believed to be true, will be forced to see the blessing God puts on your life. This is not about pride or disproving someone. It's about God disproving someone. Occasionally, the very same people who doubted you'd make it will be standing there when God promotes you. It's possible that the very circumstances that were designed to destroy you will be the stage upon which God will show His glory in your life. When God spreads a table, it is already a sign of victory, plenty, and restoration. It signals that the time of just surviving is gone, and the time of overflowing has arrived. And He does it so that your past cannot exclude you, and your enemies cannot hinder you. There is something even deeper in this. God might bless you secretly, but He determines to bless you publicly. Why? Because your story is not for you alone. It is for every individual who needs to hear that God still saves, still gives, still restores. The same God who led you through the valley is the God who will bless you in the daylight. And the same goodness and mercy that pursued you through the storm will pursue you into the banquet. When you finally get it, you no longer live with desperation, and you begin to live with expectation. You begin to have faith that even though you can't see the full picture, God's mercy and goodness are already in motion. You begin to have faith that the table He's setting before you will be more lovely than anything you've lost along the way. And you know that every valley, every tear, every unexplained question was pushing you toward this place where God's faithfulness is apparent and His love is unbreakable. When you read Psalm 23 as something greater than words on paper, you see it's a guidebook for life. It reminds you that even in your fatigue, there's rest for the soul. Even in your racing thoughts, there's peace beyond understanding. Even in the dark valley, you are not alone. It reminds you that God doesn't simply drop blessings into your life. He walks with you through the fight, so you can see His hand in the victory. It's a promise that your enemies will witness you rising, that goodness will be with you, and that His presence will never depart from you. This isn't about getting by, this is about walking boldly, because you know you're being guided by the one who already sees the way. So when life attempts to persuade you that you're alone, read Psalm 23 out loud, believe it, live it, and let it remind you that your shepherd never abandons you.